In the previous video, we saw what institutions were and what they did. But is what they do good, bad, efficient, fair, or maybe unfair? In this video, we'll build two criteria on which we can answer those questions. So, when economists talk about efficiency, we typically have the following example in mind. Suppose we have two possible allocations, or if you prefer, equilibrium outcomes, A and B. Suppose that we now live with allocation B, and we're considering a switch to A. The question is now the following. If we switch to A, is at least one party going to be better off without making any other party worse off when we switch to A? If yes, then allocation A is desirable. It Pareto dominates the other allocations, in this case B. If not, then A is being Pareto dominated by B. Of course, we can have numerous ways we fill the concept of better off with meaning. However, in economics, we typically mean more money, higher payoffs, or anything that the agent cares about. If they have more of those, they're better off. Now, as we saw with the ultimatum game, sometimes it's not enough to be better off. Sometimes you need also to be fair to others, and that's what they care about as well. Now, this is the second criterion we use when we judge a certain allocation of outcomes: fairness. When we say something is fair, we mean two things typically. First, whether the outcome of a certain interaction is distributed in proportion to the contribution of each party involved. We call this fairness substantive fairness or substantive fairness. But we sometimes don't look at the outcomes at all. We look at the rules according to which a certain allocation is going to take place, and we evaluate the rule itself, the way it was designed, not the outcomes. And if we believe the structure of the rule gives equal opportunities for everyone involved to realize the potential gains from the interaction, then we say the rule is fair. So apart from the substantive fairness, we'll also have a procedural fairness. In economics, we typically use the Pareto criterion for evaluating outcomes and focus on fairness a lot less. So we'll see further illustrations of the Pareto criterion now. To see how we apply the criterion, let's see the integrated pest control game that Anil and Bala were playing. On the x-axis, we have Anil's payoffs, and on the y-axis, we have Bala's payoffs. Now let's compare two possible outcomes, where they both use the integrated pest control and where they both use the terminator. In the first case, they both get 3 and 3. In the second case, they both get 2 and 2. But if that is the case, then II allocation, Pareto dominates the TT allocation. The reason is that with II, at least one party is better off without making the other party worse off. As it's clear that both parties are better off, we can safely say that II Pareto dominates TT. But notice what happens if we switch to another allocation, say T and I. With TI, Anil's payoff becomes 4, whereas Bala's payoff becomes only 1. So Bala is clearly made worse off when Anil is made better off relative to both of the other allocations. We can do exactly the same analysis for the other allocations we see. II clearly dominates TT, but we can't really say if it Pareto dominates IT and TI. So, as a result of this mental exercise, we can see that there are some allocations which can't be Pareto dominated by others. In other words, improving on those allocations for some player, for some agent, will necessarily involve making another player worse off. Formally, in the jargon of our profession, we can say that there is no other allocation which makes at least one party better off without making another party worse off. We call these allocations Pareto efficient allocations. This is what we mean by Pareto efficiency. When a certain allocation is impossible to improve for someone without making someone else worse off. Okay, we know Pareto efficient allocations are efficient. You can't really improve on them. But we still don't know if the Pareto efficient allocations are fair. Fairness necessarily involves making a judgment call. Let's go back to the ultimatum game. In the ultimatum game, all allocations are Pareto efficient. You can't really give more to the responder without making the proposer worse off. So a split of 99-1 in favor of the proposer is Pareto efficient. But is it fair? As it involves a judgment call, different people will answer differently based on the two fairness criteria that we have discussed previously. If the split is relatively equal, then we'll say that there was a substantive fairness. If the rules of the game were designed so that everyone gets the same opportunity to earn back what they have invested in the game, then we say that there is procedural fairness. In what we'll see next, we will apply both criteria to evaluate how social history evolved in the last 2,000 years. We'll do that by using a simple model of social conflict. We'll also see how the rules of the game can dramatically alter the bargaining power of economic agents. By doing so, the rules can improve or worsen the welfare of the economic actors involved. Keep watching to learn more.